Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast, the podcast where I have the pleasure of simplifying the marketing and the mindset so you, the chiropractor, can increase your income, your impact, and your enjoyment in practice too. In today's episode, I want to show you how thinking more like a CEO will help you grow your practice. I was on a call with a chiropractor recently who needed some guidance on what were the next steps that they needed to take to grow their practice. Now, at the beginning of these calls, there's a load of questions I like to ask so I can identify what's available in terms of growth over the next 30, 60, 90 days. What are the biggest barriers that are holding back, and what are the 1, 2, or 3 steps that we need to take in order to grow the practice? Now, some of the information that I like to know is, what was your revenue of the practice last year? What are the greatest expenses? What was the profit of the practice? The total number of new patients that you saw, the total number of adjustments that you have, what is your retention? Where do new patients come from, and how long do they stick around? Now, there's a lot of questions that I asked there too, but what became immediately apparent as I was kind of cycling through these questions was that I was speaking a completely foreign language. Maybe you feel a little bit that way now if I was asking you those questions. Not only did he not know the answers to these questions, but he didn't even know really where to go to find them. Some of the terms were confusing, and there was no way that he could immediately put the finger on how do I find these answers. Now, this type of response is completely common, and it's a big part of the reason why chiropractors often have difficulty in growing their practice. I want you to think about it for a moment. I want you to imagine that you were talking to, or I was talking to, a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and I asked them the following. I wanted to know what their revenue was last year. What was their profit? What were their greatest expenses? Where did their new business come from? How long did it stick around from? And what was each new business or new client worth to them? Think about it. How many of these CEOs would be able to answer these questions either right away, or would be able to get the answers to these questions to me within moments? Now, if you answered 100%, I think you're probably right. This sort of information is not just nice for us to know, it's essential for us to know if we're to really grow a really profitable and enjoyable practice as well. Now, most of us got into practice because we wanted to help people. That's the reason. In fact, in my whole 25 years, I've only spoken to one person, and he was a patient of mine who said, I want to become a chiropractor because it's a great business. Now, this guy has gone on, now he's a multi-millionaire who was only in practice for a couple of years, but he was just a brilliant business person. He had that kind of mind there as well. In today's episode, I want to explore the 2 different hats that we need to be wearing as chiropractors. I refer to these as the CEO and the technician. Now, Michael Gerber, in his book, The E-Myth, he was the one that first introduced me to these ideas of us wearing different hats. Now, he breaks them down into 3 different hats. He talks about the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. But for simplicity's sake, and what I find actually works best for chiropractors to think about, is really the CEO and the technician as well. I'm going to share with you the strengths of the CEO and the technician because they're both really necessary. And then we'll do a bit of a deeper dive into the 5 key characteristics of the CEO. I'll show you what best practices looks like. So what does it look like when we're doing it really well? That'll give you something to kind of benchmark yourself against. And then I'll give you some action items that you might want to take, all right? So strap yourself in. This will be a really fun conversation that will help you bring a whole bunch more enjoyment, predictability, and profitability into your practice as well. Let's start with CEO thinking as well. So CEOs have a strategic focus. This means that they're concentrating on long-term goals, they're concentrating on growth strategies and the overall direction of the practice as well. A CEO has a real financial acumen. They understand key financial metrics, revenue, profit, expenses, marketing, return on investment as well. And they know how to use this information, this knowledge to make really good decisions. CEO thinking is really all about delegation. There's a team, there's responsibilities. They delegate trust to others to execute tasks. They're all about freeing up their time so they can focus on business development and the key things. CEO thinking tends to have an innovative mindset. So they're always looking for new opportunities, services, technologies, ways that they can enhance the practice and the patient experience as well. As I touched on before, CEO thinking has a marketing savvy that goes with it as well. They recognize and understand the importance of branding, of marketing strategies, patient acquisition, and they know that not only is this essential to grow their practice, but they're willing to try new things, to invest in it. They understand the world of marketing. CEO thinking is all about data-driven decisions. So they're relying on data and analytics to make decisions. Too often, We let drama drive ourselves or drive our decisions there instead. CEO thinking is all about looking at the numbers and seeing where they direct us to. CEO thinking has a really good understanding in around risk management. They understand and they manage the risks associated with running a practice. This might be financial, it might be regulations, it might be reputational risks as well. CEO thinking has a real skill set in around networking, building relationships with other professionals, other key people in the community. They're encouraging community events, they're participating in community events, all to enhance the practice's visibility and reputation. And then finally, too, the CEO is constantly in a state of continuous learning. They're investing in personal and professional development skills, leadership, business management, marketing, all of those things as well. Now, if we contrast that with technician thinking and the strengths of these as well. In fact, as I'm going through these, you should be ticking the boxes. Yes, I've got that. Yes, I've got that. Oh, I need to improve on this area as well. But technician strengths are all around clinical excellence and hands-on expertise, okay? So extensive clinical knowledge, proficient hands-on techniques to deliver great patient outcomes, okay? So every aspect of care from the diagnosis to their care planning meets the highest of standards with regards to quality and effectiveness, okay? This is the technician. They're detail-orientated and quality assurance. There's meticulously attending to the details of patient care and care protocols. We want to make sure that we are creating a stunning experience for our practice members so that we can optimize the chance of them getting the best results. There's a focus on patient-centric empathy and compassion. These are absolute priorities in healthcare, building strong relationships, understanding. This approach is all about fostering trust and ensuring that the care plans are tailored to each individual needs and preferences as well. So technician thinking is about problem solving and continuous learning, but it's doing this with regards to the practice member rather than the actual business itself as well. So it's staying abreast of the latest research with regards to how we should be delivering our care and supportive things in around it. The strengths of the technician is all around direct impact on patient well-being. So it's making a profound and direct impact on our patients' lives. It's contributing significantly to their health and their well-being through dedicated and personalised care. The CEO thinks about the business. The technician thinks about the patient. That's a simplified way to think about it as well. Now, as I've been reading through these, what tends to happen is we naturally shift in one direction or the other. And most chiropractors, as I said, the vast majority of us tend to shift towards the technician side of things. That's why we became chiropractors, because we wanted to help people as well. Now, when I first started out in practice, absolutely I was technician focused. That's where all my strengths were. But over the years, I've really developed the skill set to look at things more like a CEO. Not more, because we don't really thinking like a CEO when we're at the table there and the practice member is in front of us. It's just about what is appropriate at that time. The good news is that we can learn to develop either of these. So whichever your weakness is, we want to make sure that we build that up as well. One is not better than the other. We need both. Now, it might be, most chiropractors need to be able to wear both of these hats. In some circumstances, what you can have is somebody else in your team that does this. I know Lauren and I fit nicely together. I provide some of the more CEO roles for her practice, while she does more of the management roles of a team. And she's also a beautiful technician as well. But for most of us, what we need to have is we need the ability to be able to wear both of these hats. I want to dive a little deeper into the CEO thinking, because certainly for the rest of this episode, because this tends to be the area that is missing in most chiropractors, as evident with the story I told you at the very beginning of this. As I'm chatting with chiropractors each and every week, most of them aren't missing the technical skills. You are the best kept secret in your community. You're changing people's lives each and every day. You just don't have the CEO hat on your head to be able to make those data-driven decisions as well. So I want to discuss through the 5 key aspects of CEO thinking, and I want to show you what the best practices would look like inside of those, and then give you some action steps that you could take towards it, okay? So when I'm showing you best practices, you can compare with what you're doing in your practice there as well, and it'll give you some room for improvement. So let's overview those 5 key aspects. I kind of touched on them beforehand, but I'll simplify them even further. Strategic planning and goal setting. That's 1. Number 2 is financial oversight and understanding of key metrics. Number 3 is marketing and patient acquisition strategies. Number 4 is leadership and team management. And number 5 is innovation and risk management. Okay, so they're the 5 key characteristics. You need to have some skills and capabilities, confidence in around all 5 of those if you're to get the most out of your practice. So let's start with strategic planning and goal setting. What does that look like when it's being done really well? And then what are perhaps some actionable steps that you can take to improve that? Okay, so this chiropractic practice has clear direction. Every decision and action is aligned with overarching goals. Okay, we've got a target that we want to hit. We've got a destination that we need to go. And so therefore, it's all about asking ourselves, does this get us closer to that destination or does it move us further away? So this is what leads to really focused growth. It's efficient use of resources and the ability to quickly adapt to changes. Now, it's important that not only you as the CEO understand this as well, but staff members need to understand their roles in achieving these goals. And this is what fosters a really cohesive and motivated team. So how do you move towards this? What are some of the actionable steps? Well, you could start with doing something like a SWOT analysis. So this is a strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. This will help you understand your practice's current position. Again, a quick Google search on this. You could head over to ChatGPT or even onto YouTube about how do I do a SWOT analysis, and it'll walk you through that. Now, once you've done your SWOT analysis and you've identified those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, you can then start to set some goals, okay? And again, the old thing, SMART goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And we can do this. What we're doing here is we're setting the destination of our practice. This will make it much easier for us to make decisions as well. Now, the final thing, once you've gone through your SWOT analysis and you set your goals, is you need to make sure that you're regularly reviewing these. So we had a quarterly review with our community influencer members where we, again, at the start of the year, we set what our yearly goals were. We've just got to the end of quarter 1. We looked at how far have we come along, and we've set our focus for quarter 2. Now, one of the things and part of doing that too is get really clear on what our top 3 focuses are and have them so that they're readily visible. So my quarterly goals, I just have on a notes inside of my phone and I can get to it really quickly. Now, I don't review it every day, but I certainly review it 4, maybe 5 times a week. So at the front of my mind, I know exactly what decisions I need to be making because my life, probably much like yours, is full of distractions, but I want to keep the main thing, okay? So it's important that we regularly review and adjust our strategic plan. So key characteristic number 2 is a financial oversight and understanding the key metrics as well. So when this is done really well, there'll be financial stability and growth. The practice will be consistently meeting and exceeding its financial targets. You'll have a real thorough understanding of things like your cash flow. This will enable you to make really informed decisions about what investments you can be making. Can we buy new tables? Can we get a new scan? Can we put an x-ray in there as well? This won't be just guesswork. This won't be, spending money, other people's money and putting yourself into more difficulty. You'll understand what you can afford and what you can't. This sort of understanding in around your financial health allows for a lot more freedom, okay? It will, again, we often think there is a tendency, I used to feel this way, that when I get quite structured in around this, it felt like it was a weight that removed any freedom from me. But in actual fact, having really clear goals and a great plan opens up more freedom for you. So this financial health allows you to have more freedom in patient care options, innovations. It'll ensure that your practice can thrive even in the most challenging of economic times. This means you need to understand the basic things I talked about beforehand. And if you don't know this off the top of your mind, at least you could get it for me really quickly. What was your revenue last year? What was the profit? What's your greatest expenses? How many new patients did you see? Where did they come from? How long do they stay for? And what is a new patient worth in your practice? What was the total number of adjustments that you had as well? These are the foundations that you need to have access to kind of really immediately. So some actionable steps might be finding and understanding these key metrics, okay? Go and find out where do I get them and put them all in a spreadsheet that you're updating at least on a monthly basis. You might want to implement some kind of accounting software that's tailored for chiropractic practices. There's many of these. And again, not that we need anything specific as a chiropractic practice, but between our front desk system and our accounting software, we can get this information. You want to be scheduling a monthly financial review. So whether this is a meeting just with yourself or partners in business, staff, just you sit down and do this. And maybe what you even want to look at doing is engaging with a financial advisor or an accountant who can, again, because we want to bring in experts that can help to guide us through this, that show us what are the opportunities. And sometimes these people can be better at predicting what are our weaknesses and what are the threats that are coming towards us as well. Let's take a look at key characteristic number 3, marketing and patient acquisition strategies. When we're doing this really well there, okay, we have a well-established brand presence in our community and online as well. There's a steady stream of new patients coming, while also what we're doing is we're retaining our existing ones. Again, we often shift one way or the other. It's all about kind of retention, and we have no way of getting new patients in, or it's all about new patients and we forget about our retention. It's not either or. It's both that we want to be working on. Our marketing efforts should result in a high return on investment. This means that if we put $1 in, then we should be able to get at least $1 back out again. Now, not knowing these numbers, in another call I had last week, a particular chiropractor had run some Facebook ads. They were only spending $5 or $10 a day. Again, he wasn't certain how much, but let's just say it was even the top end of that. And he ran that for a couple of weeks. And over that couple of weeks, he ended up with 4 new patients in the door. Okay, so let's just say it was $10. He spent $140 on ads and 4 people came in. Now, all 4 of those people started care, and a couple of them at least had bought a block of care. And I think we worked out from $140 spend, even within a month afterwards, it had returned well more than $1,000. So 10 times return on investment. And he'd stopped running the ad. My immediate question is, why are you not still running that? In fact, why do you not spend more than $10 a day? But because he didn't have a CEO mentality, he didn't see that. He missed this glaring opportunity. There was a gold mine sitting right in front of him that he completely ignored. So we need to understand this. And so some actionable steps to think about is develop a marketing plan that includes online, so that's social media, SEO, email marketing maybe, and offline, looking at community events, referrals, these sorts of relationship building strategies as well. You should know your patient persona. This is another way of saying, your ideal client or your niche as well, so that we're targeting a message towards that person. The reason we want to understand our niche or our target person is every time we want to be creating content, it should be creating content for that person. When we're building our website, it should be directed towards that person. Again, I had a conversation this morning. I get to have so many wonderful conversations with chiropractors. And this one this morning, the chiropractor was expressing some frustration in that, they were looking at other chiropractors' content. And he's a similar age to me, okay? And he was frustrated or feeling a little bit overwhelmed by some of these young, handsome chiropractors that are out there, doing their thing. And so what we needed to come back to is that his audience is different from those. At 49 years of age, if I'm looking for a chiropractor, I'm looking for somebody like him. He has similar life experience to me. When he's talking about managing stress, I can hear that better from someone my age than, a brand new practitioner. But, maybe it was my daughter. If she was looking for somebody, she wants that young, spunky chiropractor, who's fresh out, maybe tattoos on their arm, they're buffed, gorgeous, that sort of thing there too. But we only know this if we're really clear around who we're talking to. And it's not about us trying to be perfect for everybody. It's about us trying to be perfect for our person inside that as well. And the CEO knows this, okay? The CEO mindset knows this. The technician wants to be there for everybody because we're all heart-centered as well. And then finally, the actionable step here, the last one too, is we need to be able to track and analyze the performance of your marketing efforts. Again, put together a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet where we're looking at here's what we're doing and here's what it's returning for us as well, okay? Key characteristic number 4 is leadership and team management. So a highly engaged, productive team that shares the practice's vision and values. This is what it looks like when it's being done really well. Effective leadership and management foster positive practice culture where staff members feel really valued. People want to stay there, okay? It's a job of choice for our front desk staff as well as our associates. This means we have low turnover rates and really high employee satisfaction. When was the last time you checked out what your employee satisfaction was, okay? This environment promotes and allows the technician to do the work even better because it's excellent patient care, excellent patient experience. And again, this means that people want to come back and see us as well. But this only comes when we have real key skills in around leadership and team management as well. Now this, in terms of actionable steps, you might want to invest in leadership training or read some books or get some coaching. Maybe you want to come and join community influence as well. You should be having regular team meetings and one-on-ones with your staff as well so you can foster that beautiful kind of communication and address any concerns. You want to be recognizing and rewarding staff so it boosts morale and it encourages high performance as well. Now, the fifth and final characteristic that we're going to talk about of the CEO is innovation and risk management. Now, when this is being done really well, the practice stays at the forefront of chiropractic care, okay? They're continuously improving and adopting to new care methods, new marketing, new delivery outcomes as well. At the same time, we're keeping an eye on risk management to make sure that we're identifying any potential issues before they come about as well. So again, changes in regulation, changes in the way that we can practice, what we can do and can't do, okay? Now, patients will be able to identify from the most advanced form of care. We minimize there being any risk for them also. So again, how do we keep up to date with innovation and risk management? What are some of the actionable items that we can do? Industry conferences, webinars, workshops. I know over here in Australia, our association, the ACA, does a great job of this as well. You can be conducting risk assessments in-house as well, looking for feedback from practice members as well as staff and asking them about any areas of innovation as well. So these are those 5 things. These are the 5 key characteristics when we're thinking about our CEO thinking. So let me just briefly review those again. Strategic planning and goal setting, financial oversight and understanding the key metrics, marketing and patient acquisition, leadership and team management, and then finally innovation and risk management. These are all things that you want to upskill yourself in so that we've got a real level of competency in around all of those as well. So folks, there we have it. We've gone on a little bit of a journey through some of the critical mindsets of the CEO and the technician thinking. Remember, these are both fundamental to the success of your practice. If we get too heavy in one of these, one or either of these, our practice actually fails. We really want that overlap, that sweet spot between the two of them. So we've unpacked some of the unique strengths and the mindset that each of these brings as well. Remember, the CEO is all about looking after the practice, and the clinician there too, or the technician rather, is all about looking after the patient as well. So where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses as well? And I hope that this episode has helped to spark some reflection on where the next steps are for you. Are you leaning more towards technician? Are you leaning more towards CEO? Are there areas where you need some improvement as well? So remember, most thriving practices find a really harmonious balance between both of these mindsets. It's not about choosing one over the other, but it's about integrating both in them so that your practice can grow while maintaining really beautiful practice patient-centered care as well. So I want to encourage you, after listening to this episode, maybe take a moment to reflect. Where do I need improvement? Consider what steps that you need to make. Maybe it's a listening back through this episode again with a pen and paper for you to work out, which of those 5 characteristics am I missing, and what are the actionable steps as well. So if you found some value in today's discussion, if you're curious about diving a little deeper into this and seeking ways that you can integrate the two, then perhaps consider jumping into community influence and joining a wonderful bunch of chiropractors that are all about growing their practice from a patient-centered point of view. As always, folks, thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives. I'll see you back here next week. Bye. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out my Community Influencer program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work with you to help you apply it, implement it, and systemize it. The Community Influencer Group Coaching Program is designed to help you increase your practice income, impact, and enjoyment. Join me over at anguspyke.com/join. That's anguspyke.com/join. I'd love to see you there.